I keep hearing about blasting and cruising. Is this a good way to use PEDs? What is this about? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break down for you what blasting and cruising is and what it isn't. So we have to kind of go back to Dante Trudel. Dante Trudel created an article and had talks on this. We're talking decades ago.
It was the fucking blueprint. It was the blueprint back in the day, it was.
And since then, it's kind of been bastardized and it's just been shitted on and it's been manipulated. So I don't want you to think that what you see today as blasting and cruising is what Dante advised.
Before you say, Dante's actual goal was to get people off abusing gear.
Yeah,
that was his actual goal. His whole goal of releasing this was to take people from fucking doing themselves in.
Absolutely. So let's talk at a high level, right? And I love talking about this because you won't see many coaches talk about this, and you won't see many bodybuilders talk about it, but believe me now, I would say to you, in today's climate, most, if not all, bodybuilders who are trying to really pursue a competitive career are blasting and cruising, right? So let's talk about what is blasting and cruising. So let's start at a high level, right? So the theory behind blasting and cruising is this. If you are a competitive bodybuilder and you're looking to climb the ranks, right, and you want to build as much muscle as possible, you want to take your physique to the highest level of development as possible, and you're competing in untested federations where anabolic steroid usage is basically allowed. So it's an even playing field. Blasting and cruising, the theory behind that is that instead of going onto a cycle like they would say in the 80s and early 90s and then come off your cycle, run a PCT, get back to normal, the theory behind blasting and cruising was this. You would take your anabolic steroid cycle, which you're trying to grow from or trying to drop body fat from or whatever, right? And then instead of coming off and running a PCT, which actually causes huge fluctuations in your hormone levels, you would go on to our TRT dosage of testosterone, where you would run that for what they would call a cruise period. During that cruise period, your goal was this. Try to maintain most of the gains, because obviously you're not going to maintain everything, but try to maintain as much as you can do from your cycle, from your blast. Get your body back into a healthy position in terms of blood work, blood pressure, all those sort of markers, and then go back onto a blast again. The theory was this. You spend time blasting, where you want to progress your body, right, build muscle tissue, get into better shape, and then you use a cruising period to clean out, get healthier, to maintain as much as you can from the blast that you just did. So that's the theory. And the reason why this came about was because it actually can be worse for you to take a heavy cycle and then come off, give yourself 20 weeks or whatever, where your testosterone levels are in the gutter, trying to get that back. Putting the body through such violent swings hormonally actually could be a very negative thing. So again, the premise was, do a blast where you're running multiple compounds, a proper cycle, go onto a cruise that was TRT dosage testosterone, that keeps you at the higher end of the normal physiological range of testosterone, maintain as much of the gains that you made as you could, and then once you're in a healthy position again, go back onto a blast. And this is what a lot of bodybuilders do, so they can basically fast track progress. The issue is it's being shitted on. So first of all, there's a lot of bodybuilders out there who are actually under the belief that a cruising dosage or a TRT dosage of testosterone is like 250 to 300 milligrams a week. I've got news for you, it's not. Secondly, you'll see many people that'll be like, oh, I'm in a cruise phase, and they're running testosterone, they're running growth hormone, they're running either myosterone or primobolan, they're running peptides, they're running insulin. Are you fucking deluded? That is not a cruise. That's a full-blown cycle. So what's happened is, what started out as a sort of logic to keep bodybuilders healthier has actually turned out to be a situation that's allowed bodybuilders to just use more drugs and pretend to themselves they're doing something healthy.
That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it's turned into.
That's exactly what it's turned out to be.
Right? So blasting and cruising is not what it used to be, because before, what you would do, you'd go into your cycle, right, you'd make your gains, you'd go down to half a mil of testosterone a week, which is about 100, 125 milligrams. All your levels on your blood work in terms of testosterone would come back down to completely normal. You'd make sure that you get back into a good, healthy position, like your testosterone level's stable, you've maintained those gains for as long as you could do during that cruise period, and then you go back to blasting. This allows you to effectively make gains, right? So you make a gain, you cruise, you blast, you cruise, you blast. So you're continuously building up. What's happened today, and what I think is destroying so many bodybuilders is that they will look at a cruise period of, well, how much can I take to maintain the gains that I've made? So now it's not just focused on taking a TRT dose of test. Many of the guys that you look up to, many of the guys that you watch are pretty much running a continuous cycle all year round. We can't sit here and pretend. A cruise is not taking full-blown high dosages of testosterone over 150 milligrams every 7 to 10 days. That's not TRT. Like, you have to just admit it to yourself. If you're taking 200 to 300 milligrams of testosterone every 5 to 7 days, that's a cycle. If you're taking growth hormone, hormone, if you're taking peptides, if you're taking insulin, if you're taking all these things along with it, and that's your cruise, that's your healthy phase, which is a lot of what these guys are doing, you are asking for trouble because you're taking no time off at all, right, from these compounds. All you're doing is switching different compounds, thinking that, oh, that's safer to take, right? That's my cruise period. But actually, you couldn't be more incorrect.